guys, it's April with Cricut-Crafting. I just wanted to show you guys how to create this card and how I went about creating it to get these waved slices that you see for this card. A few people have been asking me how I did it and how I got that curve because everything in Design Space are shapes. Most of them are just straight, and it's hard to get something to wave like that. Let me go in to a new project. This is project 602-70520 in case you want the file for that, because we're not going to complete the whole card. I'm just going to show you basically how I did the stars and how I did these waved pieces down to the bottom to get them to line up. And for that, let's start a new project. I'm going to replace that. I moved a piece so it wanted me to save. The first thing you're going to need is your card base. That was a 5x7. There's really no need for me to put that 5x7 card space in there other than to show you a little tip that I have learned in the past. When you're creating your card base, this is going to be a 5x7, so we're going to make that 10x7. And then we're going to insert a shape, a score line. We're going to make it 7 inches long. Why it does that, I don't know. Let me undo that. I didn't have anything about a 22-inch card in there, but there we go. We're back to our 10x7. Selected the score line again. Make it 7 inches. And then we're going to bring it over and align center. Let me change this to white so we can see a little bit better. Alright, and let me select all. This is something that I always check because I've had it be off so many times by not. Now we put that into the center. I'm going to position my card at 1 inch and 1 inch. That just makes it easy to decide if it's actually centered or not. So many times I've made my card, it's scored, folded it, and I have this little lip either on the front or the back because it didn't score in the center. This one is actually positioned at 6 inches, which this is at position 1, so that would be center. If my card was over here at 1, then it would want to be on the 5. But because I put it over at the 1 inch and 1 inch to allow me room to maneuver with all of my buttons, that's where I need to position it, 1 and 1. Then you're going to click on your score and make sure it's at the 6 and 1 position. Then you can select all and attach. Next, we're really not going to need that anymore. A lot of people like to work off of it, but I'm just going to hide it for now. I don't need it. I'm going to insert a shape and put in a square. Now this square, I want it to be, my card folded is a 5x7, so I want this to be a 4.75. And I'm going to unlock it by 6.75. That's a 1/4 inch smaller than my card base. That way I can see just a tiny bit of the card all the way around this panel. This panel on the card would be the gold panel, and I'll put a thumbnail for the picture so that you can see how the card turns out. This is going to be our basic working space. So the flag part itself, we'll need a square, and it's going to be a little bit smaller than this one, so we're going to go 4.50 on the width. However, we're not going to do that on the length. The length is going to be 6.25. And the reason I've got that so much shorter is because your stripes, in order for this gold panel to show through just a tiny bit on each one of those, it needs to be a little bit smaller. If you use the file that I showed you before, it's not going to be. That is made for the stripes to be up against each other. you can get away with just a little bit of the gold peeping through, but not much. This will give you much more play area, because I noticed that when I glued my bottom on and started working the way up, that the top, my flag, I had to overlap it just a little bit, which my banner hid, but I didn't have any wiggle room there in order for the gold to show around the top edge as well. And you don't want it sitting up over the edge like this. It's going to create a funny look and draw the eye. So this is going to be our flag, so just so that we can keep it separate, let's make it a dark blue so that we can see that. And we won't need this panel for right now. We can hide it too. Next, you're going to need to insert an image. And I like to get all my images at once. So I looked for a medal. And this is the one that I chose. This is the heart medal off the Stand and Salute. So I've got that ready to insert. And then I needed a banner. This one would look very well on that as well. That is the Star Medal. Next, we're going to need a banner. And I want one with a wave in it so that I can create that wave effect. So I selected this one here from Bits and Pieces. And I also needed a straight banner, and this is also off the Bits and Pieces. And we're only going to use bits and pieces of these banners, so just so that you have that. Next, you can see that we've got everything down here at the bottom, so we can go searching for all our images at once. We're going to need the flag. And I just found this easier because I didn't want to have to cut all those little stars and line them up. So I selected this flag, and then we're going to insert images. And it may take it a moment to load all of these. There we go. On this banner here, the pink and the peach colored, you can ungroup and you can get rid of that pink layer. You're not going to need it. We just want this wave right here. That's all we're going to use. On this banner here that comes in so large, you can layer this and get that layered effect. However, I didn't want that because I wanted the flag and the star to stand out, which we forgot to get our star. We'll go back and get that. I wanted it to stand out more than the banner, so I'm going to ungroup that, and I'm going to get rid of that top layer. I'm going to unlock this, and I'm going to change it to 4.5 by 0.75. It doesn't need to be very big. Just about as wide as, I think I'll make that a 4.25. Shorten it. There we go. And that looks good. And we're not going to need this. You can put whatever you want on here. I put Some Gave All, and I used the Karma font. You may not have that font on your computer, but select your font, select your sentiment, put it on, make sure you change it to writing, and attach it. You will want to attach your writing to that. For right now, we're done with that as well, so we can get rid of that. This is going to go to the inside of the card, and basically I sized this to go the same size as this flag panel so it didn't eat up the whole inside, so I could do a writing sentiment down here at the bottom, and you can do that as well. I inserted a shape, and I unlocked the square, and I made just a little bit of a bar, because those are cut marks, and I wanted to be able to thread that through because I cut that out of purple on the other one, and I wanted it to fit on the inside of the card and be able to fit through those slit marks, and that looks just about right. We can color sync that because I cut that out of the gold as well. I'm not finding my gold layer yet. Okay, there it is. Well, wrong one. That's okay. We'll change that too. There we go. And let me come back over to the layers panel. And I got rid of all of these extra layers here. I just deleted them. I didn't need them. It's up to you how you cut yours. But all of these extras just weren't needed, and I felt like it was just kind of trying to bog down the file. So I got rid of those. I cut this out of a purple. And I also cut this heart piece out of the same purple because I wanted it as a background. Now you can do that out of gold and put a purple heart on it, which is more cohesive to the actual purple heart. But I had a gold heart that was one of the Cuttlebug embossables to run through the embossing folder that I put on top. So I wanted a purple background for that. But you can reverse these and cut them how you like on there, but I just sized a heart for the file to go on top of that, and we'll color sync that just so you can see what it's going to look like on the white background. And that's all you need for the inside of the card other than your sentiment, and you can use the same sentiment I used in the other file or create one. And we're just going to hide those pieces because we don't need those to do the rest of the card. Next, the flag. This is grouped, and when you ungroup it, for some reason it ungroups the stripes. We'll save that off to the side. We can use that. But it didn't ungroup these and didn't allow. So I'm just going to use this square here, and I'm going to select them and slice. Then I'm going to select this part, and we can get rid of that. All we want is this piece here. Next, we're going to decide how deep we want that first banner, and we're going to select both pieces. This is going to be your star shape up here, and the best way to size that is we want this flag piece to be 4.5 wide. Keep it locked so it keeps the same proportion. Okay, and we're just going to move it off to the side. You just want to get it sized to where it's the same as your panel that we're going to be cutting on. Let's see, I think I want that a little bit deeper. That looks good. Select them both and slice. You can get rid of that piece. I'm going to just slide this piece down till I got the shape that I want, the size of the stripe that I want there, and I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to align left. You want to make sure you keep that aligned to the left, and then slice. And now I have that stripe, and then I'm going to bring that up. That's the size stripe that we want throughout the card. And I'm selecting, if I move this, you can see that it moves both pieces. I'm selecting this bottom piece and this one. Let me undo those so that it stays in place. So I've got my small stripe here, and the second piece, align top, align left, and slice. And we're going to bring it down. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom piece. We're going to select that piece, the bottom piece, align top. Oops, I've got the wrong piece selected. We're going to align that one. Oh, I know what it did. And some of your stripes may be a little bit different than the others. Let's slice that apart. You basically want the same size, so if that one's off and it looks like it is, I'm just going to delete it and get rid of it. I don't need it. Let me, wrong box. I want to shape a square. I'm going to slice these two pieces apart. get rid of that, and I can get rid of that. So now we have the top of the flag. We have what will be a white stripe here. We can go ahead and change that, or an off-white. I did use an off-white parchment type. Get rid of that. Then we have our second stripe, and just remember you're going to have a little bit of a gap in between each piece. It won't be that large, but you will have that gap. Then we're going to select this piece and this piece, align top, align left, and slice. And then we're going to do, don't worry about that little piece at the top. Like I said, it's not really going to matter. It's going to matter when I go to slice, but that's it. We don't really need it. If that happens to you, just slice that little piece off and get rid of it, because you don't need it. And then select these two pieces, align top, align left. And yes, it's hanging off at the bottom. That's perfectly fine. We're going to slice. We're going to get rid of that piece. We don't need it. Here's this stripe, and let's just slice that off. Oops. Undo. I'm just going to select these to get rid of that little line off the top. I don't need it. For some reason, Design Space 3, it didn't do that when I did my original one. It sliced it without leaving that little edge. The aligned top must be off. So now you have your stripes. There's your blue, your white. This one will be red. So let's select it and go ahead and change it to a red color. And then this one will also be the white or off-white, whichever color you choose. And then this one will be red as well. And then we have this one, which will be your white. And that's how those will lay out on the card. Like I said, you're not going to have as much space as I'm showing here on these. But that is basically your shape of your card. I'm trying to line them up almost perfectly, and that's probably not going to happen, eyeballing it, but you just want a little bit of that gold to peep through. You don't want a lot, but you want to have a little bit of playroom around the top and bottom. Okay, this piece here is where our stars are going to come from. We're going to duplicate it, and because you want, unless you want gold stars, you are going to need a duplicate copy. Let's select that one and make it white. That's going to be our white background. Going to align these two pieces. Align to the top. And then we're going to slice it. This is the only piece you're going to need off of that, and it should match up perfectly with the other one because we duplicated that and sliced from that. Then you can delete this. We won't need that anymore. And then you can unhide all of the stuff that we hid before and place that. Let's unhide there, unhide, unhide. Let's move this out from the back because that's going to go on the card base. Let's unhide that. So there you have your card base. This will go on the front. Your gold panel, which will go behind, and you're going to have room to space this out a little bit. Now you may want to recut this piece depending on how much you space it so that it lines up around the bottom. Just make sure you have your edge straight, but that's just going to give you more of a wave effect on there. You can select all of these and then stretch them back to fit this. You can cut your card down. It's totally going to be up to you how you do that. The other one, like I said, I had them where they butted straight up against each other with no gaps, which is going to be an easier card to create because you don't have to worry about this not matching up right here. I don't think it will look bad. Always do a mock-up when you create a card. That's what I did with mine, and I found I needed just a teeny tiny bit more room on the gold, so you can make that bigger and then trim it down. You can always place this on and then just trim it down to fit your flag if you're working on a bigger space. This piece, get rid of that. This is the banner. Let's arrange and move it to the front. I placed mine here. You could place it down here and then that wouldn't matter. So your banner could go right here if you had extra space at the bottom. There's always all sorts of ways to work out any boo-boos that you have when you create a card. And like I said, it never hurts to make one straight out of paper just to do a mock-up, a piece of copy paper, and then you can just write your letters or words on what piece is what. And that always helps. I don't know what happened to my, there it is. There's my bar. This is for the inside. That's kind of a yucky gold color, isn't it? Let's go ahead and change that so that they sync up. And then, like I said, just put your sentiments on there and attach. This will be run through. Put your sentiment on the card. This will be the front of the card or your inside right, depending on how you want to do your card. If you're doing a sentiment writing, you'll want to do it on this side, on the right hand side. But that's all there is to creating something like this with different shapes. You can use any shape in Design Space to pull in and create different shapes for your cards. The star that I used on the front of that, I believe, had the slits in it. Let me see where that star is. You'll want one that has something that you can kind of make 3D, but any of the stars will work. There it is. I used the one from Stand and Salute because it had the slits. Let's go ahead and insert that. And I ungrouped it. This piece I got rid of. This is the piece that I used, and then I just deleted all of these underlay pieces. Whether you use those or not, that's up to you. I always delete them out of the file just so they don't bog my file down, because I don't need any extra stuff in there that I'm not going to use, because then I'll be like, well, I wonder where this was going to go or where this was going to go. And that completes the file. Don't forget to save. If you see an asterisk, that means you haven't saved your project, even if it's named. That asterisk means you've moved something, changed something. Something isn't right. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial today on how to create those waved shapes in Design Space using other shapes. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to join the Facebook group, Cricut-Crafting with April. And I'm always giving all sorts of tips, tricks, and files. So please join me. You have a wonderful crafting day.